40inbox.com here, and we're going to be checking out this post called Just Sold My Company. I just sold my company and don't know where to put the money. Age 35. Just sold my company. I have a little over $2 million in cash. I'm a very simple person. I don't want some complicated allocation scheme. Just wondering if there is anywhere I can put that money to make $10,000 per month. Is that a stretch? I would want to be able to get paid $10,000 per month, so maybe an ETF or something like that. Buy a piece of real estate cash and rent it out. Where I am located, this is possible. Live in a very touristy area in Hawaii. Again, I'm not really trying to maximize or do the most efficient thing. I am mostly after simplicity. Having to manage a portfolio of stocks and investments isn't something I care to spend my time doing. Yeah, see, here's the thing. I agree with this individual, right? Like, if I had just like sold something, whether it be like a home or like a business or something, and I get like a nice chunk of change, right? To the like to the value of like $2 million, which congrats to you. Like to get like this windfall of money is pretty darn nice. But I kind of view it the same way as if I were to win the lottery, right? Like, how would I manage like a lump sum of cash if I could only take a lump sum? Well, there's a couple ways that you could do it. Now, what this person suggested, which is basically the whole real estate, like rental income, which is a viable option because Hawaii is a very, very touristy area. They could definitely do Airbnbs in it and make really good money from doing that. But I believe the property taxes are extremely high in Hawaii. The home prices are extremely high in Hawaii. So it may not be the best option, but it is a viable option. Now for me, since this person kind of doesn't really want to deal with anything, I don't even think the whole rental income option is a good option, right? Because you're going to have to manage the renters. Like let's say you have a long-term tenant. You're going to have to basically manage it, right? And if you don't manage it, you're going to have to pay someone to manage it. And what fun is that? Like you're going to spend more and more money to have someone take a percentage of basically your income to manage a property when you could just do that yourself, which you probably end up doing it yourself because you could do it better than them. You're like, it kind of like defeats the whole purpose, right? So if you want to do something, like if I was in this position and my goal was to have the laziest way to invest the money and basically not do anything, still like grow it and not lose it, and still have like an income coming in, what I would personally do is probably just stick every single thing in the S&P 500 in like in an ETF and then just take a draw of like 2 to 3% from that. Now, by doing that, you probably end up not having the 10K per month route, but you would have basically no energy spent, no time spent thinking about your money basically at all, and you just take money out of it every year or every month, whatever, however you need it, right? And it'd probably be about, I don't know, like, let's see, let's pull up the calculator to get it precise. So, $2 million with, let's say, like a 2 to 3% draw, so times 3% would give you $60,000 a year, right? And it would still be growing at that point. The problem is, the more money you take, the less money it will grow, and in turn, you'll end up basically eating into the principal. Like the whole point of this is that you want to basically set it and forget it and not really think about it basically at all ever again until basically the day that you basically take a draw from it. So what I would probably do in like this person's situation is like pay off every single debt I have, pay off every single bill basically I got. Like anything that like cost you money, I would like basically get your cost, your living cost to a very low amount in terms of your needs. So what I mean by this, if you got a mortgage on your house, pay that off. If you got a car loan, pay that off. If you got student loans, pay that off. If there is something where you are spending like a good amount of money to like maintain it. So like let's say that you have a very expensive car that is just expensive to maintain in terms of like gas, insurance, whatever, right? Just general maintenance, right? I'd probably sell the car, right? And just get something that is reliable, that doesn't really have any maintenance cost, so that I could set up my life to where my needs are basically nothing, right? Because if you got basically no house payment, if you got no car payment, if you have a very low car insurance payment, if your health insurance stays the same, your groceries are basically the same, right? You got no credit card bills, you got no student loan bills. You could take less than a 3% draw and still live perfectly fine and never have to work again for the rest of your life. Like this is the way that you got to view it. Like if this person's goal, right, is basically to specifically do nothing with the money, like not actively really do anything with the money, then that's what you're going to have to do. Because the problem is they want to do a 10K per month thing, which you need to put time and energy to really be able to do that, right? You could probably pull the 10K per month by doing the whole rental income aspect, but you're going to have to deal with it because you're not going to want to pay someone to do it or have them take a percentage of your income. So you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to dedicate the time, the energy, the hassle, right? Like, who wants to deal with a renter when you don't got to? You got 2 mil in the bank, dude. Like, come on. Just like basically set up your life financially to where you just literally do not have to financially do anything, right? Spending no time, no energy at all. Like that's the way that I would do it. I would just take a small draw from my money that's invested into like the S&P 500 and never have to work again for the rest of my life financially speaking because it just frees you up. But if you're basically in a situation where you're trying to force yourself to make 10K per month semi passively, it's not going to be as passive as you want it, and you're going to try to make more money than what you'd actually need. It's just like it just defeats the whole purpose. So I would not go the rental income route. Like it'd be a pain. And by the way, I mean you could live off of 60K in Hawaii if you have every single thing paid off, right? Now obviously that would like if you have debt already and you use the money, the windfall, to start paying off your debt, then obviously speaking, that would lessen how much of a draw you'd actually take in terms of like your money. But like let's just say so let's say you still got like a mortgage or whatever for like $200,000, right? So that leaves you with like a $1,800,000. Let's just say 3% of that would mean that you're now at $54,000 instead of the $60,000. So it's just something to think about too. So you might pay off everything. Your draw, like the actual amount of money, the dollar amount that you get to live off of, might be less, but your expenses are going to be basically nothing. So I still would go that route. by just paying everything off and minimizing your needs cost. So let's check out this. So this person says open a Fidelity account, invest it all in FNILX, large cap index fund, zero fees, pull out a max of 3% per year. Interesting. About the same. Well, is the same basically what I said. That's 60K per year right now, but will likely increase each year because basically it still have compounding growth. Once your portfolio is over 5 million, you can start getting sloppy with spending, but it's not going to happen if you spend too much now. I agree, right? But that's why I would be way more okay with this person basically paying off every single thing in their life so that their money could just grow and they don't really have to touch it ever again. This person likes to answer, yeah, so like they are basically looking for like a really, really passive way to do this. Let's see. So with 2 million for the S&P 500, you can take out 3 to 4% a year and not run out of money soon. 3% won't likely run out in your lifetime, 4% probably will. So 60 to 80k per year or 5 to 6.5k per month is about right. 10k per month without extra work will not work. Or I'd put it into SPY and take out 0.25% a month pretty much forever, which is currently about 5k per month. The other advantage is when you and your spouse die, that account could just pass to any one child and give them inflation adjusted about 5k a month in today's money forever. So yeah, I like this perspective like way more because you could just pretty much do this every single month, right? Like I prefer this route than dealing with a renter because like you just never know what you're dealing with when you start factoring in other people. Like that's something that you got to think about. Like people are humans and sometimes humans are kind of crazy. Like I like the lazy route. Like for example, let's say you were to ever play the lottery and let's just say for some reason you get super lucky and win like a massive windfall. So like let's say that you do like a $10 million scratcher, you actually win the jackpot and you got two options, right? You got the $10 million lump sum or you got the annual payment. Now that one is more so specifically like you got to actually understand whether or not you're someone that's just going to blow all your money or not. But let's say that you're just like a responsible person in general, right? And whichever route you choose, you're still going to be okay with your money. The way you would view it is how lazy or what kind of a lifestyle do you really want to be dealing with it, right? Because if you're someone where you're like, you know what, I just want to like quit my job and like literally never think about anything related to money ever again, right? Or at the very least, the next 20 plus years, right? In that case, if you really just did not want to think about basically anything at all, you could take the annuity route with the lottery win and get like 400k or like 500k every single year on the very is like exact same day every year, no matter what, for like the next few decades, right? Without ever thinking about investing or anything like that. Which, by the way, crazy thing about it, this person could actually just do that with their money, which is what we can talk about now. So there are things basically in the insurance world where you could actually just make yourself a literal annuity, right? Now, I definitely wouldn't recommend anyone doing like an annuity in terms of like their own money, turning it into an annuity, where like you just pay a massive lump sum and then they just pay you for the rest of your life. I wouldn't really do that unless like every single thing is completely maxed out that you could think of and you're basically doing this not even for yourself, but more so if you had like a kid that you loved, but you know that they just can't take care of themselves at all. Like, so for example, let's say that you have a mentally disabled kid or mentally disabled family member, but you want them to be able to be taken care of financially speaking for the rest of their lives. You could basically put this into like an annuity that you build yourself where you pay a massive lump sum and it just pays them forever for the rest of their life, right? That's something that you could basically do and set up, but that's like very specific circumstances. Now, again, we're still talking about the lottery. So let's say that you take the lump sum and then you also get taxed like heavy amounts on that. Well, then you could start investing your money, and that way of investing the money would be very similar to this route, right? Where you'd probably just put it into like something like the S&P 500 or some sort of other ETF or mutual fund or whatever, and just take a draw from it, right? Because I watched an interview of someone who actually won the lottery, the $10 million scratch off, and I loved what they actually decided to do after talking to a financial advisor. And what they did was basically have their financial advisor set it up to where they will have basically 80K a year no matter what, pretty much for the rest of their lives, right? And technically, I think that money actually increased because basically the way that their investments were set up, they actually made a really good amount of money in the stock market as well. So they pretty much probably made like an extra few $1 million after the whole taxes. So basically, after the lump sum and after the taxes, they were probably around like $4 to $5 million out of the 10 million. But because of their investments, it probably went from like the 4 to 5 million to maybe back up to like 6 to 7 million, and they were still making about 80K a year, right? So just put that into perspective too. It's like if you set it up to where you could pretty much have your monthly costs covered and a little bit extra on top of that. Like your living expenses are completely covered, and you can go do whatever you want to do basically after that. I say that's a pretty awesome situation to be in, right? Where you could literally spend your whole day watching Netflix shows, right? You could spend the whole day rewatching all of Survivor, right? Or The American Race. You could spend all day going on road trips. You could spend the whole day literally just playing your favorite game or reading a book. I'm thinking that's basically what this person's trying to achieve, and the best way to do that with basically no input on your behalf, basically at all, for most of the year, is going through the investment route of basically doing this with like an ETF. And that's what I would do. That's what I would probably do just so that I could live an extremely lazy life. Like at the very least have the option to live a very lazy financial life, right? Because if you know that you're basically going to be guaranteed 60 to 80K a year, that is definitely not a bad route to go. But also, it just like frees up like the mental stress of worrying about bills, worrying about creating another job, business, whatever, right? Because again, this person sold their company for this, right? By basically setting it up in a way that you have guaranteed money coming in no matter what you do, and that money never will run out, depending on how much you actually take out of it every year or every month. That frees you up to basically building a business in whatever field you want to do. You can make the business on basically anything when you really think about it. Like if you free up that aspect of your life where you do not have to worry about your personal finances, that means that you go super hard in building your next project. So instead of like a $2 million payout, maybe the next business that you build might make you a centimillionaire, like 9 figures. Maybe you have a 9-figure payout. Or Crazier than that, maybe you'll have a 10-figure payout, aka a billion, right? Or you could end up creating a business that will last for generations. That's also another route, too. Or just literally do nothing at all for the rest of your life. Peace out. Stay tuned for more financial commentary. But that's the route I would go about that in this situation, just for the laziest lifestyle.